Okay, greetings. So, today on our Midlife and Menopause Moment is all about from hot flashes to high fives, why women need their tribe. So, for those of you who say, I'm an introvert, I really don't like people, that's fine, baby. You can be an introvert, but there are certain people that you need for your tribe. It's not just a personality thing, it's for your health, it's for your wellness. This is how to maneuver, one of the ways to maneuver midlife transitions with grace and with ease and to age with elegance. Because stress, honey, it shortens our life and it ages us. It won't have you having this 54 glow. Well, remember, this isn't regular 54. This is a reality 54. So before we get into it, let me make sure that everyone in the room knows who I am. So greetings, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Midlife and Menopause Moment. I am your host on this journey. I am Dr. Michelle Clay. That's Michelle like Obama, Clay like Cassius. And I am both a physician as well as a certified holistic health counselor and clinical nutritionist. And what I do is I really focus on women just like me who are fabulously over 40. And through my wellness coaching programs, premium loose leaf herbal teas, well, they're not really teas. They're really a relaxing escape of wellness in the cup. Then I help fabulous women over 40 maneuver midlife transitions naturally and to decrease menopause symptoms. So let's get into this from hot flashes to high five, why women need their tribe. So here's the thing. The studies show, and maybe you've heard me say this before, that chronic stress with that high sustained cortisol level, the stress hormone, then what it does is it actually not only puts women into perimenopause earlier, but um, causes more menopause symptoms and increases the frequency of them. As a matter of fact, the science shows that stress increases those vasomotor symptoms. We're talking about those hot flashes and those night sweats. Those are considered vasomotor symptoms by 21%. All right. But here's the good news. The good news is that there are things that we can do naturally by just being in tune and in touch with ourselves that can help all of that. And one of them is that girlfriend therapy. Now, people talk about retail therapy, and maybe for a second, it might give you a little high with some dopamine, but guess what? You will not be feeling pleasure or that high when you get that credit card bill. You're going to be feeling more stress. Indeed, indeed. Okay. So, the thing is, there's something called tend and befriend. And with the tend and befriend, you know how when you're going through something and you'll call your sister friend or maybe your sister, and you're like, girl, let me tell you. And just the act of listening and bouncing ideas and knowing that you can receive that virtual or that audio hug, it makes all the difference. Well, there's some science behind that. And let me tell you about this science. First of all, you get a hit of oxytocin. So that oxytocin is that feel good kind of neurochemical. And what it actually does is it helps mitigate that cortisol spike. That cortisol spike happens when it's like the oh my God or the oh ish. The oh ish factor. And what the oxytocin does is it actually activates the antithesis to the stress response with the sympathetic nervous system, but it activates the parasympathetic nervous system that rests and that digests. So that's what that tend and befriend does. Also, what oxytocin does, I told you it counteracts the cortisol spike, but it also helps with mitigating some of those symptoms. So when that cortisol spike is mitigated, when the parasympathetic nervous system that rest and digest is activated, then that helps lower your heart rate. That helps lower your blood pressure. Now, you know when people say, "Oh my goodness, you got my pressure up," when crazy things are happening, stressful situations, challenging situations, traumatic situations are happening. That's a real thing. That's a real thing, having your pressure up, because what happens? What happens is that the vessels actually vasoconstrict, meaning, let's say it's like this, and the blood is going through, and actually what happens is it constricts, so less blood is going through, and your pressure does go up. All right, now the studies are showing that a phone call is fantastic, but face to face is the best way for social interaction to activate that whole tend and befriend. A voice call is second, and even just a gift, a GIF is how you say it, not a gift. Well, a gift is helpful too, particularly if your love language are gifts, receiving gifts or giving gifts. But I'm talking about gifts, GIF. You know, you get those funny ones and they make you laugh. So that helps. Um, Scrolling social media can be helpful, and digital interactions like this, but not as much and not with the sustained results as the whole face to face, particularly when you get with your sister friend. And I'm a hugger, but when I'm out and about, and if you see me in these streets, then I naturally want to hug you, like, hey sis, how you doing? It's so nice to meet you. But I always ask first. I always get permission first. All right. Okay. So there's that. All right. Um, so there's something I want you to remember, the three S's. First of all, if you can name, think about five people that you can name that you can call in the midnight hour. I'm talking about 3 a.m. If you get a call that says, I think it was 3 a.m. when I got the call that my mom had passed, that my mom had made her transition on to glory. And I knew of someone that I could call at 3 a.m. When my aunt passed, my cousin knew that he could call me at that midnight hour when his voice was cracking and I could barely understand him, but I knew that she had gone on to glory. And it was a shock. It was a shock because she was just doing well and then she was gone. Like that. I mean, in hours. Okay. So, if you do not have five people that you can name, that you can call at that 3 a.m. hour, then I want you to make it a point to cultivate your connections. I want you to make it a point to really um, open yourself, open your heart to not just give love, to receive love. Okay, because here's the thing about the tend and befriend: it only works if you work it. If not only you give, which we're really good at, but that you can receive and you're open to receive. So now for a quick story time. So I've always been one that, outside of like my mother and my father, um, I guess basically just those two. Then, as far as receiving help or asking for help, those were the only two. Now, when my mom made her transition, which was back in 2007, so that's almost coming up on the 18th year anniversary, then there was my dad. But outside of that, there wasn't anyone. And I remember people will offer to help me, not just with doing things, but maybe offer to giving me things, offer money or to purchase things for me. And I would always say, no, that's okay. Is that you? Do you find yourself saying that a lot? Is that your go to, your first response? And once my dad passed, well, before my dad passed, this is the quick story time. It was a couple of years ago. So there's a group of women physicians, all Black women physicians, and these are the business besties, okay? And we get together and we help each other because we have learned how to monetize our medical degrees. And so we get together on a weekly basis and we try to do in person quarterly to help support each other, celebrate each other with our wins, and to get us to our business goals. All right. Because how many people know that this business life, this entrepreneur life can be very lonely? Because for people who do not have their own business, you cannot you feel like you can't really talk to them. You can, but they don't really understand, and don't understand to the point that when you're having challenges can offer solutions because you're not in that space. Okay. But anyway, um I was in the process. I was staying with a friend. I had bought a house, but I had to redo the entire house. And I was at the finish line, but the contractor wasn't doing things properly. I had to spend extra money to correct it. It was a whole situation. And so it was time for us to come together in person to get together for our quarterly accountability sessions. Because it was extra money going to the repair, not just the repair, the doing of the house, I didn't have the extra money to make the weekend. And so I hated to make that call. And I said, y'all, I can't come. I really can't afford it now. All my money, my extra funds are going to this house. I can't get the plane ticket, the food, all that situation. So they came back to me and one of them said, well, what if we get your ticket? I said, no, my default response. No, that's okay. Just pipe me in on Zoom and we can go through our accountability portion, and pipe me in on Zoom for work sessions while y'all are quietly working, then I can work too with you. And then a few hours later, I received a message about my ticket was already purchased. They didn't even give me the option of saying no. I don't know if they used points. It didn't matter to me. But they didn't give me the option of refusing the gift, of refusing the blessing. And when I got there, um, they even made sure that I ate. They made sure that I had food. Now I bought a couple of groceries so I could at least make smoothies or something for us. And of course, I brought Reality because they love reality and it makes everyone feel calm, and it's a part of the wellness journey. And wellness is that's relaxation. Wellness is physical. Wellness is emotional. Wellness is mental. Wellness is spiritual. Wellness is social. And that time of the tend to befriend, I felt less stress. The weekend was beautiful because there was connection, there was sisterhood, there was love. She's not heavy. She's my sister. So I want to leave you with you're cultivating um, your 5 people that you can call at 3 a.m. I want you to keep these 3 S's in mind. Okay. Number 1 is support. Make sure that it is very supportive, and not just that supportive because I want to get brownie points, but that supportive because you're leading with love. That's the first thing about caring and caregiving, is that you leave with love and it is an act of service. Number 2 is synergy, synergy and symmetry. And that synergy slash symmetry is all about using the universal law of reciprocity. As you give to me and I am drinking, I'm replenishing, I am then able to pour into you, replenish you. Law of reciprocity. It goes in a circle. As you give out, it comes back to you. You receive, and then you're able to give out and then receive again. It's a circle, a cycle. And then the final S is secrecy. Girl, do you know how many people's secrets I have? Like things I have held close to my chest and haven't shared with anyone, and will not, because they trusted me and felt safe. There's another S, safe enough with me that I would keep it. And I have, and I will continue to do so. Okay. So that's the deal with that. And with all of that, that is going to ease these midlife transitions. The five people you can call at 3 a.m. when you're crying and don't want anyone else to see because you feel so exhausted caring for your father, caring for your mother. Those five people you can call at 3 a.m. because the grief just hit you when your favorite uncle that stood in for you, stood in the gap, fathered you and nurtured you in a way that your biological father could not or would not. Okay, that time. That is what from hot flashes to high fives do. Why it's so important to have your tribe. You need your tribe to cultivate your tribe, being part of a tribe. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to end it there for today. And the thing is, like I said, cultivating your tribe. And sometimes you need a little help. And sometimes you need to add to your tribe because maybe your tribe has some things that you're in need of outside of support that they are unable to give you, baby. I have added so many people to my tribe along this way. So, my five people, there have been some core people that have stayed the same, and there are some that have come in, and there are some have gone out. And I have actually more than five, amen. But for even more than I invite you to the midlife reset. It is a midlife and menopause masterclass with even more than this, with practical hands-on strategies to help you thrive through wellness, to help you maneuver this midlife transition and to age with elegance. All right. And that you can find that. She said, yes, it does indeed. So you can register for that. And it is happening on Tuesday at 7 p.m. EST at reset over, I'm trying to talk and type, Lord B. Resetover40.com. Okay. That's resetover40.com. Let me type it again just in case. Lord B. All right. And so it's just an hour that gives you so much. It gives you so much. Because remember, the virtual connection of sisterhood also activates that oxytocin, that feel good neurochemical that mitigates the stress and mitigates the hot flashes, the menopause symptoms, all the things. Okay. The fight or flight, all the things. So the virtual still helps, not as much as the in person, face to face, heart to heart with a nice hug, but it's still very beneficial. And so, in the meantime, today, I'm going to challenge you with three things for your homework. Okay. Number one is I want you to make your list of five people that you can call in the midnight hour at that 3 a.m. when the ish is hitting the fan. When you feel alone, when you're crying, don't want to wake up anyone else in the house with your tears. I want you to make a list of those five people. Okay, that's number one. Number two is I want you to register for the reset, the midlife reset masterclass, midlife and menopause masterclass at resetover40.com. That's number two. And number three is I want you, instead of doom scrolling or instead of turning on the news or watching the news with all this doom and gloom, I want you to stop and I want you to call one person or send a voice memo to one person. Maybe you haven't talked to them for a while, but they mean so much to you. And I want you to just do that. I just called to say I love you. I just call to say how much I care. And let it lift your mood and let it lift theirs. That's your high five to hot flashes. That's your touch and agree to your tribe. All right, everyone. I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate you to the replay viewers. So, in the meantime and in between times, until we meet again, be well, do something well and wonderful for yourself, and call just to say I love you. Mwah! Bye, y'all. Have a positive day.